Financial markets closed Wednesday in commemoration of Workers' Day as the three chiefs of government shared 617.5 billion naira at this month's FARC meeting. Senate passes 2019 budget, jacks it up by 86 billion naira. International Monetary Fund IMF says Nigeria must grow non-oil revenue. Is Nigeria paying enough attention to artificial intelligence? Now, this is Business Express reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. And this May Day edition will take you on a tour of technological trends and opportunities. I am Liakatun Babatunde. Now let's get the program started. A total of 617.566 billion naira was Tuesday distributed as federal allocation for the month of March 2019 among the three tiers of government comprising the federal, state and local governments. A communique issued by the Technical Subcommittee of FARC released at the end of a meeting in Abuja indicated that the gross statutory revenue received for the reference month was 446.647 billion naira. Also, the revenue generated from the value-added tax was 92.181 billion naira. There was also 653 million naira from exchange gain, 13.085 billion naira from forex equalization, 55 billion naira from good and valuable consideration, as well as 10 billion naira added by NNPC. These therefore brought the total revenue distributable for the current month to the sum of 617.566 billion naira.
That has accrued and distributed in the month of April 2019 is 617.566 billion as against 619.857 billion that was distributed among the three tiers of government in the previous month of February 2019.
The balance in the excess crude account currently stands at $183 million US. Transco Power has acquired the combined farm power plant in River State with 100% share holdings at 105 billion naira, while Quest Electric acquired the Yola Distribution Company with 60% shareholding at 19 billion naira. Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Alex Oko, is emphatic that failure by the company to meet up her financial obligations will attract some unpleasant sanctions.
One of the requirements is that all the bidders would post a bond, a $2 million bond for the transactions, and all the three that contested today have their bonds in place. So we can call on that bond should the winner not be able to come up with a financial consideration for the bid.
It's for a long time. There's no asset we've purchased that we've not just paid for, but also we've transformed. Job to be done is a lot, which is to increase capacity, procure the gas, make sure so that the transmission end is fixed, so that when we produce, it's being transmitted.
The International Monetary Fund IMF is advising policymakers in Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa to immediately engage in revenue-based fiscal consolidation to create space for higher capital and priority spending while improving spending efficiency. Abebe Selassie, Director, African Department of the Fund, at the public presentation of the Spring 2019 issue of the Regional Outlook, says the prevailing 4% growth rate of the region is not enough to create the needed jobs to bridge the gap of inequality. Let's take that report. The United Nations has just put Nigeria's population at 201 million. Getting optimum output from this population is a concern for the fund, which sees sluggish growth in mainly commodity exporting countries. Nigeria, South Africa and Angola inclusive, that jointly account for 50% of the region's output.
We're projecting growth at, I think, 2.8% this year. This has been facilitated by the gradual policy adjustments that have been ongoing, but we still see growth in Nigeria at 3%, well below this country's enormous potential, and addressing faster policy implementation will be important to address some of the things that are holding back growth.
This platform availed policymakers an opportunity to restate steps being taken in addressing growth issues.
We are going to continue to maintain the interest rate positive in real terms. And the yield in Nigeria will be comparative, if not superior, to the yield in other major market economies. So for those who are interested in fixed income investment, you can't find any other better place than in Nigeria.
For the first time in the history, this government actually have injected about 4.5 trillion into the productive sector of the economy. That has never happened. And that has really boosted the morale, and then created a lot of massive jobs and give opportunities.
Immediate actions pointed out by the IMF for Nigeria include maintaining a tight monetary policy stance and addressing structural challenges to boost diversification, and other reforms being undertaken by government. Not sequel to the successes recorded in saving cost and elimination of wastages and ghost workers through the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System (IPIS) in 2017, the federal government is consolidating by sensitizing MDAs on their roles in the system. Boss Deable reports.
It is no longer news that the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System (IPIS) scheme has brought sanity to the payment of salaries and wages for MDAs at the federal level. Apart from ensuring prompt and regular payment of salaries, the system eliminated ghost workers and other shoddy practices of the past. Now the federal government wants to consolidate and improve the effectiveness in storage of personnel records and administration of monthly payroll to enhance confidence in staff payment costs and budgeting.
The payroll module has led to over 250 billion naira being saved through the identification of ghost workers.
Presently, there are over 700,000 staff on IPPS platform from 115 MDAs, 39 Nigerian police commands and 3 formations, 4 paramilitary agencies, and retired heads of service and permanent secretaries.
For those of you who have been in government, and of course many of you are, it is extremely difficult to start projects of this nature and sustain them for this long period of time.
Currently, we will not be owing since 2015 to date.
Success and challenges in the implementation of IPs by solution providers and relationship between budget and budgeting system form the focus of the 2-day workshop, in line with the continuous public finance reforms of governments.
This kind of program has really opened our eyes to so many things.
This type of retreat is very, very important from time to time to fit the parastatals with the required information on how to operate optimally.
Our expectation is that it will be very effective.
After all said and done and the deliberations so far, it is hoped that this retreat will further strengthen the full implementation of the policy. In Abuja, Boss Sede.
Non-powerful economies have leveraged on the opportunities technology provides to improve from transactions to service delivery and every activity that determines growth and boosts development. Artificial intelligence around the world is big business as long as you play by the rules. Now, before we get started on this conversation, let's take this background report. If automating jobs could remove barriers to growth and improve viability, then why are companies and institutions laid back engaging more with computation? The computer has come to stay, and with its advent, artificial intelligence has also continued to grow. Only recently, technology giant Google announced it will open an artificial intelligence center in nearby Ghana, making it the first of its kind on the continent to serve nations around it, including Nigeria. Bridgewater Associates highlighted the ongoing rise in automation across industries could be a support for corporate profits in the years to come as more efficient robots and software potentially replace slower and error-prone human labor. Despite its intended advantages, artificial intelligence is proving to be a double-edged sword. While this can be said of most new technologies, experts at McKinsey say both sides of the AI blade are far sharper and neither is well understood. Yet, even as AI generates consumer benefits and business value, it is also giving rise to a host of unwanted and sometimes serious consequences. Because artificial intelligence is a relatively new force in business, few leaders have had the opportunity to hone their intuition about the full scope of societal, organizational, and individual risk, or to develop a working knowledge of their associated drivers, which range from the data fed into AI systems to the operation of algorithmic models and the interactions between humans and machines. Experts say leaders hoping to avoid or at least mitigate unintended consequences need both to build their pattern recognition skills with respect to artificial intelligence risk and to engage the entire organization so that it is ready to embrace the power and the responsibility associated with AI. Another emerging issue is the potential for fraudsters to exploit seemingly non-sensitive marketing, health, and financial data that companies collect to fuel AI systems. What are the opportunities and gains for Nigeria embedded in artificial intelligence? Business experts will in this edition focus on artificial intelligence and growing technological trends in the global economy. All right, now Vivian Idepefor earlier spoke with Abdul Hakim Ajijola, a global cybersecurity professional, on the artificial intelligence industry in Nigeria. Now, here's that.
So Hakim Ajijola is a global cybersecurity professional with a large CV, working to kickstart the development of an Africa cybersecurity economic subsector. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, so artificial intelligence has caught global attention. What are the benefits and risks of the AI?
Well, clearly there are a lot of benefits in the sense that it will make things much more efficient. It will make our work environment and our lives generally easier. And some experts have actually compared the advent of artificial intelligence to the advent of fire or electricity on how it will impact society. So it is a big deal. However, like any other thing, it has its negative sides. It will lead to some job losses, and also people are using today artificial intelligence for negative activities, including warfare.
Job losses, yes. What does that mean for Nigeria?
Well, frankly, it means that if we do not sit down as a society, and I'm not saying government now, but it's more than government, as a society, to really think through what will be our philosophy, what will be our ethics, what will be our policy, and of course, what will be our strategy as a society and obviously as a nation, then we are going to be left far behind, and indeed, we are going to have to be following yet again another technological trend. The challenge we have is that right now the standards are being set. The normative issues are being set. We talk of issues such as cyber diplomacy. How ready are we for this? And so that it is something that we need to think about, despite the fact that yes, we have challenges of power, we have challenges of so many other things. But again, it's a big deal, and as a society, we do need to at least begin to think about these issues.
We are thinking about it, but we would also like to know what's prospects for us.
Well, for example, many of us, many of the viewers listening today may think, well, I'm not using AI. What's the big deal?
Exactly.
Well, let's face it, if you use a smartphone to take pictures in portrait mode, you're using AI. If you use things like Bixby, again on smartphones, if you use Google Maps, if you use drones, if you use social media feeds, if you use Spotify, YouTube, there are so many video games in banking and finance today, smart home devices, even facial recognition that we have on our doors. All of these use some kind of AI. And so we're already using it, we're already there.
Okay, so will artificial intelligence enhance or hack humanity?
Like any other technology, it's a double-edged sword. It is how we think about it and how we use it and how we make sure that we mitigate the problems or potential problems while enhancing the benefits. For example, a big global bank a few years ago adopted something called IBM Watson, which is an artificial intelligence system to review contract agreements. In the first year, they saved over 240,000 legal billable hours. So if you're a lawyer that does contract law, please know artificial intelligence is going to take your job. So any job that has a high degree of repetition, you're in trouble. But any job that has a high degree of creativity, unpredictability, and that is why to our viewers, I'd really encourage you to encourage your children to go into the creative issues. And starting with things like music, art, because that creativity is what they're going to take into the future. And very importantly, parents, do not necessarily ask your children what profession they want to be, but ask them what problem they want to solve. Then they'll be able to use the artificial intelligence and all these other tools constructively and won't be left behind.
Like you said, in every human endeavor, the double-edged sword.
Correct.
How can Nigeria be prepared that we are not taken unawares, with the other side of the sword of artificial intelligence?
Well, there are a number of weapon systems already actually being sold, not necessarily to you and I, but to governments. For example, the Russian maker of the famous Kalashnikov AK-47, they now have an artificial intelligence-based gun that once you put it in the battlefield, it determines who to kill and who not to kill.
Really?
Yes, and these raise a lot of very, very important philosophical issues. These issues are being discussed right now on global stages. I'm talking about the UN and all these type of places. Nigeria needs to be part of that discussion.
Okay, so considering the current state of our economy, what are the benefits that if Nigeria engages more in the use of artificial intelligence, what benefits can we actually harness from this?
I think the most important immediate benefit is that it can help us in our education sector. It can help us to develop a new set of thinking. It can help us to develop our minds, and it can help us to manage, for example, exam-related processes. But like I said, part of the key mindset as a nation that we must have is that we must look at solving problems and not necessarily being this professional or that.
Okay, so leave us with your thoughts as we wind down on this segment of the program. What should be our next move?
Our next move should be, first of all, to have the awareness and the understanding that artificial intelligence impacts us whether we like it or not. A big area we need to look at that is already happening is elections. So, for example, artificial intelligence is used to spread by the what we call the bad actors negative propaganda. If you are managing a political machine, how do you counter it? Indeed, how do you utilize the same AI to propagate your own client? Again, whether we like it or not, the younger generation are using social media and these other tools, and AI abounds there. So we need to come up with strategies, methodologies, determine what the ethics should be from our African perspective, and not necessarily from a Southern California or Chinese or Russian or British perspective. They must be our ethical values.
Well, thank you, Abdul Hakim Ajijola, for being with us on the program Business Express.
Thank you very much.
We do hope you come again when next we call on you.
God willing. Thank you.
And the program Business Express continues shortly.
As the federal government focuses on delivering the next level promises to Nigerians through people-oriented economic policies and carefully planned strategic involvements to drive foreign investment into the country, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, NIPC, has rolled out measures to improve the ease of doing business in the country through the introduction of the iGuide Nigeria initiative, which serves as a compendium of investment incentives in Nigeria. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Yewande Sadiku, stated this in Abuja during a parley with the media to explain investment structures embarked upon to attract foreign investors into the country and enhance economic diversification.
To take this incentive, make it electronic so that it is even easier for investors to apply for it, and so that people can log onto a site, a secure site on the internet, and get a sense of the status. So the documents that have been gazetted, I believe there are 5 of them. It's the guidelines, it's the ministerial order delegating some of the minister's responsibilities, and
the federal government will release a new gas pricing template before May 29 to address what it describes as unreasonable tariffs imposed by gas distributors on natural gas used by commercial consumers in the manufacturing sector. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Dr. Ibe Kachiku, during an interactive session on national gas policy and regulation, said $7.45 per standard cubic feet of gas paid by manufacturers was too high, especially as they did not operate in the upstream sector of the economy where there was sector-based pricing. The minister, who was speaking through his special technical assistant on fiscal and regulation, Dr. Timothy Okon, said there was no distinction in the pipelines that supplied gas to the manufacturing sector, adding that they were smaller and delivered lower pressure and so did not call for a high tariff. Now let's take a quick look at commodity prices. Now, as I told you earlier, the financial markets in Nigeria are on holidays today. So let's take a look at the performance of global stocks.
Most stock markets on May 1st are observing public holiday in commemoration of Workers' Day. In Africa, the Nigerian Stock Exchange and other African markets were closed to mark Workers' Day. European markets were closed for the May Day public holiday. Most major Asian markets remain closed for the holiday. While in the United States, stock index futures were pointing to a higher open in early trading as market participants prepared for another day of corporate earnings and awaited to hear from the Federal Reserve. In early trading, the Dow futures rose 99 points, indicating a positive open of more than 111 points. Futures on the S&P and Nasdaq Composite suggested a higher open.
The Central Bank of Nigeria will offer 110 billion naira treasury bills upon resumption from the May Day break to roll over maturing NTBs on behalf of the federal government. Let's have a quick look at exchange rates. That brings us to the end of this edition of Business Express. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube, and you can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now. Keep a date with us Friday for another exciting package. I am Leah Katun. Baba Tunde.